Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about service dog travel tips, and we're going to cover some of the service dog gear that you may need to make that next coming road trip go a little bit more smoothly. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and click that bell to get all of the notifications. Now this is recorded as part of a live stream, but don't let that throw you. If you're watching on video later, go ahead and leave those comments down below. We will be checking for those comments to interact. We're going to be hearing from Tonya Lambert. She is going to talk to us about one of the most important road trips that she has ever taken, and that is her very first trip home with her brand new service dog. Hi, Tonya.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Later, we've got Candy, the wee service dog, joining us, and we're doing this for a couple of reasons. One is I've been trying to raise money for another service dog. So the ad revenue on this live stream, that's all going to go to my service dog fund. And the other thing is just to have fun and enjoy the days. I want to introduce you all to Tonya, and she can talk about what she's making. And
right now I'm wrapping wreath forms. The wire, you can see it here. I'll use a lot of smaller items when I'm making wreaths, and they can fall through the wire. So what I do is I grab a great big thing of twine. This is jute. It can be used as kitchen twine or whatever. And I wrap it around the wreath form. But a biggest tip that I found is when you're doing this, your hands get tired. So put a spot of glue and then keep going so that if you drop it, like I tend to do, it doesn't all unravel on you.
Now, I'll sometimes, because I like to, if I'm traveling by myself, I like to, in the van, I like to do like crafts and stuff. So I will use good old fashioned binder clips for the ends of like strands of jewelry and things like that. They're awesome. I have them in my drawer here.
I never thought about using binder clips. As you can see, sometimes I create a little bit of a mess if I get too much yarn going.
Sure.
But binder clips might help control the mess.
And the other thing that I like about binder clips, hey, Diamond Music, welcome.
Hi,
Diamond Music is in here. She's watching us in the chat. And Diamond, if you decide you want to join us, let me know because I can send you a link. That I've noticed when I go to hotels, those curtains don't always close all the way. And I can take a binder clip and use that to clip the curtains, and I don't have a 2-inch gap on those hotel room curtains.
Right, yeah. Because if you're photosensitive to for any reason, sometimes that sunlight coming in can cause a seizure, or if you have flashbacks or something, it could trigger that if you have PTSD, or it could just be darn annoying.
I'm more on the darn annoying part of it.
I'm actually photosensitive with my seizures. And so I have to be careful with light because it can kick off a seizure. So I'm always, when I'm outside, wearing sunglasses or a hat or, something. And then the curtains in those hotel rooms, when they don't close, it can start flickering because the air conditioner might move the curtains and the light will flicker, and that could trigger a seizure.
And that's not something you want to have happen. The other thing is 911 doesn't always work in all areas. And so sometimes you're better off knowing that phone number and programming it into your phone ahead of time.
I know my friend lives in England, and she said that in the UK it's 999 instead of 911, and that confused her at first because she's
sure it would.
If something happens, for some reason you can't see the keypad if you're only pushing one number.
Yeah.
But with 911, you got to remember where the 9's at, remember where the 1's at.
Some phones have gone to, you just hold on to a certain button, and that's really helpful.
Traveling with a service dog, you need to have an emergency pack for your service dog as well as yourself, because a doggy first aid kit, get a Ziploc bag, and whatever you can give an infant, you can give a dog, to a point, you know.
Right.
And you gotta have poop bags, and you gotta have paper towels, because sometimes that stuff just ain't solid, you know. And I found that
True.
out the hard way with Archer. He had Giardia when we were coming home, and I didn't have an emergency kit ready for him. And so I had to kind of struggle to put one together while we weren't even near the home. We weren't even near a vet I knew, you know, or anything like that. So when you're traveling with animals, even if it's not a service dog, extra water, extra food, you know, something in case they get hurt or get glass in their pad
Sure.
or whatever. You got to be ready when you travel. You got to be ready for you, your pets, your kids, all of that.
Well, Tonya, tell me what it was like for your first trip home traveling with Archer, your service dog, and all that. So, was there anything unexpected?
Well, it started out at the beginning of the week. You have 5 days to learn what this dog took a year and a half to learn. So and they give you a binder so you can you know, have everything written down. They've already got it in a binder and everything, which is nice. But when you're working with the dog, you can't always stop and look at the binder. So you got a lot to remember that he already knows. And by Friday, you have to stay for graduation with CARES. It's not optional, and that doesn't end until 6:30. And we had a 12. I'm not sure. My brain wants to say 9 or 10 hour drive back, including stops. It was because Archer had Giardia, so we had to stop a little more because he had to go to the bathroom. Giardia is an intestinal disorder with dogs, and graduation, I was tired, and we got back to the van after graduation, and his gear handle folds down, but it has
Okay.
metal that sticks out past the handle. It got caught on the front passenger seat in the van, and it threw him backward into me, and I caught him, but we both hit the concrete. So he still has trouble loading up because of that issue. So that, you know, you got to be cognizant of that too. If something happens to spook the dog or something, you're going to have to work through. I'm still working with him, and I've had him since he was a year and a half, and he's 4 now. And some new instances of a new vehicle or whatever, we have trouble with him loading up. It started as soon as we left, and then, like I said, because he had diarrhea, we had to stop a lot. And we were
Okay.
places they apparently had never seen a service dog. So I was having access issues when we stopped at a gas station. I had to go in and use the facilities, and they didn't want to let me in because I had a dog with me. And my mom sat through the classes with me, and mom got up there, and she wasn't. I was trying to be polite. I was tired. We were both really tired, and mom was like, "You're gonna let her in, or I'm gonna call the cops." So if they don't understand, or person never been around a service dog, you're gonna have issues, and you know that from Tomlin. Might have issues with access. The drive itself was pretty okay, but we didn't pull into to our home till 3 in the morning because mom decided to drive it straight through. But as soon as we had to get used to each other, you know, he didn't know me, I didn't know him, so I would actually fall a lot because he wasn't used to how I walked. It got to be winter, and I couldn't figure out what he was doing, but he put his body weight against me and shoved me over. And I couldn't figure it out, and I would go to walk where he didn't want me to walk, and obviously what I didn't know was there was ice there, and
Oh.
he had been moving me away from the ice. uh, so service dogs are incredibly smart, so that they'll pick up little things like that without you needing to train them for certain things. But I live in a small town, and there's not a lot of service dogs around, so I thought, well, I'm going to have access issues. But since I had the whole town helping me raise the money for Archer, they all are pretty cool about, oh, hi, Archer. I'm just Archer's mom. but it works out for us.
And that's a good thing. Access issues, you mentioned talking about calling the police there. Your mom had to get kind of firm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's something that you have to do sometimes.
And you sometimes, and it was like a week after I'd gotten Archer, a friend of mine who already has a service dog, we were going out together so I could learn what to do in different scenarios and practice me and Archer as a team. And Archer was actually watching her service dog Gator pretty close. So it actually was really helpful for us to become a team working with another established team. And we were in Walmart, and this big black dog had to have been an American lab. And I say American because my dog's an English Labrador, and he's got the big box head of a boxer or a Rottweiler. He's bigger. But he wasn't at this time because he was still recovering. And this big black lab comes charging up the aisle, pulling so hard on the lead that the owner was literally being drugged behind it. And it was headed for our service dogs. And my friend Barb put herself between our dogs and the oncoming dog. But when we got to talk to the people at Walmart, they kept saying, "Oh, we can't do anything about it." And they refused to have
That's a shame.
to do about it. Even when we went to the district manager, they didn't do anything about it. "Oh, we can't do anything about it. They might sue us." So you do have attitudes of, even if it's not a service dog, sometimes they can get away with that stuff.
Right.
That dog could have, if your service dog gets hurt or scared to a point where it can't do a task, you have to get that dog retrained. It can be a really big problem.
Yeah, and people don't realize how easy it actually is to ruin a service dog.
Yeah. I mean, like Archer, he still has trouble with loading up because he fell out of the van on graduation night.
Oh, no.
And he still has scared at times when he's loading up in mom's van or something. We have
Aww.
seats, so they're completely sitting exactly straight up or he won't load because he's
I can
afraid.
see that. And the thing with Walmart, I got into a discussion with a gentleman at Walmart, and management said they couldn't say anything to him, and I was like, "Well, I can." So I went over to him, and what it was is he had a small dog, which dogs of any size can be service dogs.
Yeah.
But he had put the dog in the shopping cart, and that is a no-no.
Yeah, that's unsanitary.
Yeah, I mean, it's either 4 on the floor, or they do make special pouches for people who have like diabetes. And so they can put the dog in the special pouch and wear it so the dog can smell the breath and then alert if need be, if the person starts to have an diabetic reaction there. And this one was in the cart. It was really wiggly. It didn't seem to have the training that service dogs need to have, because service dogs need to be able to pass a public access test. That's just the way it is. So here's this guy, and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, "Hey, is that a service dog?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, it's a rescue dog." And I'm like, "Okay, is it a rescue dog or is it a service dog?" He's like, "Well, it helps me out. It's a rescue dog." Rescue dogs are those that have been rescued or saved from like the pound, or somebody who's going to take the dogs to the pound, or they're in a difficult situation, or they come from a rescue group. That doesn't make them a service dog.
No, and I don't think a lot of people see the difference between an ESA, which stands for Emotional Support Animal, and an actual service dog. They don't have the same rights that a service dog has, and a lot of them doesn't have the same training either.
That's true. Most of them don't. And in this case, I don't know if it was a service dog with poor training or an ESA, because that's something we really can't gauge. But I said something to this guy, and the reason is, if I had come in, my service dog passed away, and if I had come in at the time with my service dog and there was a problem with the dogs barking at each other, then we're both at risk for having to leave, because even with a service dog, if your dog is creating an issue, you can still be asked to leave, whether it's service dog or not. And Tomlin very rarely, if ever, hardly barked back, even when he had dogs snapping at him and up in his nose and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The untrained dogs, especially. But I was like, you're not supposed to have your dog in the shopping cart.
No, that's sanitary.
And he was like, well, they've never said anything to me. And I was like, you didn't see the big sign as you walk into Walmart? So he insisted that there is not a sign saying not to put service dogs in the cart. And I asked him what the dog did for him, and he just said, well, it's a rescue dog, and started walking away. But I want to show you, I'm going to share a screen here, just so everybody knows. Ta-da! There's the picture of the sign that says, to maintain cleanliness of carts, service animals may not be placed in the shopping carts.
That's right.
There you go. That's a photo of that great big sign. And it's right as you come into Walmart. But that's one of the things that gets us into trouble, because there'll be a misbehaving dog, and then we come in behind it. So anyway, what else did you get into with Archer, bringing him home? Like, what advice would you give somebody if they have this service dog, Tonya, and let's say they've never been around dogs before? What would you suggest, and how do you suggest traveling with your service dog to get him home for that first time?
Don't forget the water. Don't forget, you not only got to stop for potty breaks, but that dog's going to need something to drink regardless of what the season is. And even if you have a long flight or a long drive, don't feed them right before you go. What goes in has to come out.
That's true.
Archer was trained apparently where he drinks enough when he's working to stop being thirsty, but he won't drink. I mean, because my dog's half camel. And but when he's working, he only drinks a little bit. And so beware of that. If you've got a service dog, they may not drink as much while they're working because they may have been trained not to. But when you're going on a plane, when you're going in the car or whatever, don't feed them before they can go until you get home or until you stop for the night. It's not going to kill them. But if you feed them, they could get car sick and throw up. They've got to poo. And it could, especially with Giardia, like with Archer, if I would have fed him before we left the hotel, even though he had some over-the-counter medicine until we could get to our vet, he could have got car sick. He could have had an accident in the car. And that's hard to clean up as well as smelly. So my number one tip is, be aware of your dog and its needs and stop more frequently. It's like if you've got a toddler, you don't drive all night straight through. I mean, we had no choice but to drive straight through, but it took us 12 hours to get home instead of what it would have, like the 10 hours, because we had to add time for Archer. They're living creatures. They're not going to always be perfect. But you've got to be able to handle the situation in any situation. You're the head of the pack. You're the boss. And I always had trouble even coming home that night. People would see him and their first instinct is, cute dog, pet, pet, pet. Well, I have seizures and he seizure alerts. If you're petting him, he's not only going to move, so my balance is off because I'm leaning on him and could fall, but he could miss a seizure alert.
And that could
So
be life-threatening.
if you've got a service dog, get patches and banners to go on the handle or whatever. Do not pet. Make sure it says that. And just because it says it doesn't mean they're going to listen. Oh, I shouldn't pet
Very
you,
true.
but I had to quit going to my art group because one of the ladies would not quit trying to play with Archer. And we were at a Christmas party and she distracted him so bad that the guy behind me had to catch me.
Wow. Yeah, not a good
Because
situation.
I was getting ready to fall down because Archer got distracted. And when they don't know you, when you're just first meshing with your service dog, it's going to be a little worse because they don't know your unspoken cue.
Right. They're still learning.
Mm-hmm.
So would you
learning
suggest
process for everybody.
So would you suggest for somebody who's coming for the first time, bringing their service dog home, that maybe they should take like an extra bandana or something that says "Do not pet"?
Oh yeah.
In
You
addition,
can get bandanas on Etsy, on eBay that say "Service Dog Do Not Pet," and I had one ready for Archer before he got. I got him that said "Service Dog Do Not Pet," and it, even though I label him, even when we go out just for walks, he's wearing a vest or something. Not only because I don't want him to be petted, but if he's not wearing some kind of gear to tell him he's working, he's going to act like a normal puppy dog. You know, walking, walking, walking. Ooh, flowers. And
well, and in some ways that's like humans, because with humans we put on our uniform when we go to work.
Yeah.
So the dog's gear is the uniform.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. Do you care if I show a picture of Archer from your Facebook page?
No, go ahead. I got to step out for a minute and take care of Archer, and then I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm going to share the screen so y'all can see Archer. He is a cute, adorable dog. And, you know, there he is. You all can see why people are tempted to pet him, because he looks happy. And there he is with his blanket. And you see the crate there behind him. For a lot of people who are traveling, they want to bring a crate to keep him safe and to keep him contained. Now, just because he's in the crate doesn't mean he stays in the crate, especially like if he's home or if you have a larger vehicle. You know, you have to get him in and out of the crate. And one thing that you might want to do when you're traveling and you're out that way, let him go in and out of it, you know, some while you're stopped. So, you know, give him an extra chance to stretch his legs. With Tomlin, when I was on road trips, I would stop more frequently, and I took an extra long tie-out cable with me. I would make sure that I parked in a safe location, let him use the cable, and he could go in and out of the van, do whatever he wanted to do while I was cleaning out the van or straightening it up or things like that. But he was able to enjoy getting in and out of the van as he wanted to. And I think that's very important when you're traveling with a service dog or even a pet, to give him that extra time on the cable so he can have some time to himself, but in a safe and secure situation. Just make sure you park next to a grassy area or a curb, and make sure you tie the cable where he will not be able to get in traffic or around any other vehicles. And let's see, Diamond Music. Okay, she's saying that they get tons of service dogs at the restaurant. Yeah, because if you have a service dog, then your service dog has to be with you. So that means going into restaurants, going into grocery stores, and all the places that humans usually go. And the good thing about it is that service dogs are allowed most places that humans can go, but not everywhere. There are some exceptions. But, you know, something that we run into is, you know, if we come in after there is a poorly behaving dog, whether it's a service dog or ESA. Diamond Music, you work at a restaurant. Do you want to tell me if that creates problems for you guys on the restaurant end? Because I know with me, if I go into a restaurant, which you have to do if you're traveling with a service dog, then I go in right behind a misbehaving dog, and the folks in the restaurant are like shy about it. They back off. Diamond, you want to type more about that in the chat from your perspective as a server, because it's tough. Some people may find it. Hey, okay, hang on. If you like, I can tell you that later. That'd be great, Diamond. That'd be great. And we're also joined by Life Adventures and Keto. So, welcome. Glad you can join us today. But one of the things that I suggest you take with you if you're traveling and you've got a service dog and you're taking a road trip or you're going into a hotel or really any other situation is that you take a copy with you of the ADA service dog law. It's right here. It's online, so it takes like a minute to print it out. And I like taking more than one copy because you might need more than one copy. And I've need them in hotel rooms, and I had to go to the NIH, which some people may not know that the NIH stands for the National Institutes of Health, and it is a government organization. And I had an access issue, and they did not allow me with my service dog, even though I had this. But let me show you. The ADA operates an information line 24 hours a day. Here it is on the screen, and it's got the hours down there pretty much until 5:30 every day except for Sunday. And they will help you. You can call that information line and they'll get on the phone with whoever they need to get on the phone with, wherever they are. And if they don't respond appropriately by allowing you access, then you can file a complaint, go to ada.gov, file the complaint online, and they ask for it. In my case, the NIH had to rewrite their entire service dog policy to be in compliance under the law. So this is a really valuable tool. It tells you how it's defined, where service dogs are allowed. So I'm going to look at that for just a second. Under the ADA, and I'm reading it from the service dog law, which I'm going to go ahead and post that in the description box in a little bit, okay? But under the ADA, state and local governments, businesses, nonprofit organizations that serve the public generally must allow service animals to accompany people with disabilities in all areas of the facility where the public is allowed to go. And it specifically states, for example, in a hospital, it would be usually inappropriate to exclude a service animal from areas such as patients' rooms, clinics, cafeteria, or exam rooms. And it says, however, it may be appropriate to exclude an animal from operating rooms or burn units where the animal's presence may compromise a sterile environment. So that's important to know. That's a really good thing to have with you when you're out and about and traveling. So it's probably, I think access is probably, especially the first time. Tonya's back. I think that access issues, possibly the first time you go somewhere, is something that you need to be prepared for before you leave. Tonya, what do you think?
I had an access issue the morning after I got him on Monday, and then we went back to the hotel. On Tuesday morning, we went into the hotel dining area to have breakfast. And the clerk, I had to go over, I couldn't find the refrigerator to find the butter. and I wanted a waffle. So I went over to ask him where the refrigerator was, and I was just getting where to where I could eat a little bit of solid food after my surgery. So they were wanting me to try to eat solid food once a day. So I thought I'd breakfast, and I go over there with Archer, and he's a heavy mobility service dog, as
Sure.
well as seizure alert and PTSD. So, psychiatric alert. And so I'm leaning on him. I'm holding on to his harness, which has a handle that I'm leaning on. And so you could tell I was using him. And the clerk at this particular hotel got irate and was upset about there being a dog in the dining room. You can't have a dog in the dining room. And I had previously bought, before I got Archer, these ADA law cards. It's a little business card looking thing, and I got them, and I had them on my person, and I had to pull them out and give them the website for the ADA and give them one of them law cards stating my rights as a service dog owner. And I hadn't had him a full 24 hours yet at this point. And so it started from the very beginning.
So definitely have that information before you leave home.
Have it saved on your phone. Buy ADA law cards. You can get them for like 50 to 100 of them for a couple of bucks on different platforms like Amazon, Etsy, or eBay. Yeah, have that stuff. And if you're having a trainer train your dog, I would highly ask that you have them train your dog for boots. Because on the ground, you may not notice it, but there's always glass can be on the ground. If it's even 70 degrees outside, that pavement can be 95 or higher. I get more comments about his boots than I do about, I'm not sure if I get more comments because I got a great big golden dog or a great big golden dog in little bitty black boots.
I'm actually showing a photo of Archer right now with him wearing his boots.
He likes his boots. He will goof off, and I'll put his boots on him. He'll come right over to me, and the command is paw, and he raises his paw, and I put the boots on, and he puts his paw back down. And we go out the front door, and I use a mobility scooter to get around town because I can't drive. And he'll start like a little colt that's just gotten in the grass for the first time, kicking up, and he only kicks up and digs and goofs off when he's in his boots. He loves to find a hill and run down it in his boots because he slides.
Oh.
And if he doesn't have his boots and you go to put his gear on, he'll pick his paw up and shake it at you. Like, servant, where are my shoes? And if it starts raining and you don't have his raincoat out, he'll hunt for it before he goes out in the rain. He's very picky about staying clean, staying dry. Unless there's a lake or a river, then he'll be in the river and you can't get him out. So,
okay. Oh, we have Laurel coming on the stream here in just a second. She's sitting back down. So I'll bring her on in just a minute. But, talking about grooming, you've got to bring a brush with you when you pack the little bag.
And even if it's a short-haired dog, because especially with a service dog, if they're shedding, a lot of restaurants may not like that, and people will, they're shedding, they shouldn't be in here. There's gonna be people that will find any little thing to nitpick.
Well, the dog has to be clean no matter what.
Grooming is a big part of it. I have a groomer that he goes to once a month, but I have to do daily grooming every time before we go out. And another thing might be good to pack. You can use baby wipes or pet wipes. They have both. I use baby wipes because they're less expensive, but sometimes just wiping them down with that to get off excess dirt
Especially between the paws.
Between the pads and everything. And that's another reason I like the boots, because Archer hates to have his feet dirty. And he will throw a hissy fit if his feet are dirty. And so the boots help keep his feet clean too, and give him more traction. Sometimes when we're like in a store with the linoleum or wood flooring, the dogs might slide, so the boots give them a little bit more traction, so they're not going to slide. And when people like me that need heavy mobility are leaning on the dog, that's vital.
Sure. All right, thank you for watching. Make sure that you leave that comment down below so we can respond, because we are going to be checking those. And remember, we are always about hashtag be bodacious on this channel, which means you're not going to let life get in the way of living. Our next segment is going to be coming from the same live stream, but we're going to see Candy the Wee Service Dog talking about her experiences as a handler. Thanks for watching, and we're going to catch you on the next video. Bye.